Hi everybody, welcome back to School of Scarlett. Today I have another message for you. So today's message is about failure. You might be perceiving failure, you might be experiencing something in your life that you think is failure, and this is a confirmation to you that it's not failure, and we're going to go into what it really is. So today's message came from something that happened over the weekend and something I'm working on today that I'm going to share with you here in this message. But before we begin, if you are new here, I put out daily intuitive messages based on things that happen in my daily life. So we're going to begin with some of the stuff that happened over the weekend. So this weekend I went shopping for fruit trees. If y'all are familiar with me or my channel, or maybe School of Scarlett Homestead, you may know that we have quite a few fruit trees on our property. We have peach trees, we have pear trees, we have all kinds of stuff, citrus of different kinds, and so we have a lot of fruit trees. But what happened most recently is that some of our trees actually died. We had, I think, 2 peach trees die, one of our plum trees is kind of dying, and one of our pear trees is dying. And so because of this, we really had to go ahead and go get some new fruit trees to plant. And so today's message came in pretty loud and strong for me to share with you that when something fails, let's say like that fruit tree is no longer producing fruit or it's somehow dying, that doesn't mean it's failure. Everything that happened prior to that fruit tree, not producing the fruit or dying was success. It produced lots of fruit. We made lots of nice pies and jellies and jams and so many nice things from that fruit tree. Just enjoying a nice big juicy peach in the summer was, an epitome of our summer. We loved picking that fruit tree when it had fruit. But fruit trees don't produce fruit forever. They actually only produce fruit for, a short time, a few seasons. And after those seasons are over, the fruit trees stop producing fruit and they no longer produce them ever again. So in this case, the message that was coming through is that you may have, something happening in your life where you had been producing fruit, you had been successful in some ways. It was showing success, whether that's in money, abundance in some way, whatever. It was doing something for you in some way for some time, but now you're starting to see that it's not producing that anymore, or it's changing in some way, or it's not producing in that way, but it's, doing something different. And that's just like the fruit trees, they weren't producing fruit anymore, but they were still, some of them were still shade trees. Some of them were still just beautiful to look at, whatever. But our trees are symbolizing something for you. And so what that symbolizes is that this is actually a sign to plant something new. So what I ended up doing this weekend was going shopping. And we went to Tractor Supply, we went to Home Depot, we went to Lowe's, and we went shopping for fruit trees. We purchased some new peach trees. We're still on the lookout for, I would like to get some cherry trees. So if you know any place to go purchase cherry trees, comment down below. I have not been able to see them anywhere. I'm in Texas, so if that helps out any, let me know if you've seen fruit trees anywhere, you have any idea where to get cherry trees or pomegranate trees. But getting back on topic, I purchased some new trees for myself, and we literally took out the old trees, the trees that were dying, and we replanted some new trees. So there might be some seasons in your life that it's time to close. And so just like fruit trees have seasons of harvest, eventually there's going to be a season where there's nothing. And when that happens, it's time to plant something new. So you're being called right now to close some old chapters, to realize that some seasons have ended, and to plant something new. So what will you plant new? Maybe it's a business that is no longer producing for you, and it's time to close that, and it's time to start something new. Maybe it's a project you've been doing and it's, come to its end. It's produced everything that it can, or you've done what you wanted to do there, and it's time to plant something new. Maybe it's a relationship, a friendship, where you've had, your good times, and you've had a great friendship or a great love, romantic relationship with someone, but the seasons have changed and there's no longer any joy there, or any really anything produced at this time that is, bringing you joy. So it's time to close that season. And just because we close a season, even if it happens to be a friendship or a relationship or a business, it doesn't mean that that whole business or that whole relationship was a failure. Out of that time that you were producing, you actually had abundance from that. You produced something, you created something, you learned something through that. So just like my old peach trees and all of that died and I, took them out of the ground, they're not going to be wasted. They're going to be used for firewoods, for like little fires that we're going to do, and they're going to produce a great aroma. They're going to decompose and they're going to become compost for the next thing to come. So whatever you have, even at the end stages, it's not wasted. I want you to know that you haven't failed. Everything that you have produced and it's eventually come to an end, that was just a natural ending for it. And we have to see it that way rather than seeing it as a failure or seeing something that we need to cling on to try to make it work. If I tried to get my fruit trees to keep producing fruit once they had passed that season and they were no longer producing fruit, and I kept at it, putting vitamins, trying, watering, doing all of these things, it would do no good other than to drain my energy. So at some point you have to let go. You have to move into that new season. You have to move into that new chapter in your life and totally let go of that old. So one of the other things that we did was we pruned our fig trees. They were really getting huge and out of hand. And so we had to prune some trees. I think we also pruned a plum tree. And so one of the things about pruning is that tree is still going to be producing fruit, but you do have to cut back parts of that tree for it to thrive and be healthier and produce more fruit. If you don't prune that tree, it's not going to produce as good fruit. It's not going to produce that many fruit, and it's not going to produce the big fruit that you want. So you really have to prune away those parts of the tree that are no longer serving it. So, you get to know what parts to prune, but in your own life, you can reflect using this metaphor, what parts of my life are no longer serving me? They may have served at one point, but at this point they're draining me, or they're not bringing anything into my life. So those parts of your life, it's time to do a cleanup. It's time to prune. Just like in a garden, for a garden to be healthy and thrive every year, there's a time for harvest, there's a time for cleanup, for pruning, for, weeding, there's a time for, putting nutrients in, and there's a time for waiting, all of that. Just in life, in the garden, in our own life, we have those same seasons. So you also have to recognize, what season are you in? If you're in a season for cleanup right now, if this video is speaking to you and you're resonating with it, leave me a like right now so I know that you're resonating. And if that's resonating for you, begin to look around your home. Begin to look around, to see what can be thrown out, what can create a fresher, newer energy for you. In your life, is there friendships that have to go? Is there relationships that have to go? Is there some part of your life that no longer resonates or fits in with the version of you that's opening up and becoming new right now? See, you're planting something new right now. Every season you are born new. And so this new version of you, it doesn't want to keep every single thing. It wants to let go and prune some things so that it can produce more healthy, more vibrant fruit. And so you're meant to produce fruit, and not in the same way as a fruit tree, but this is an analogy for you to recognize that what you have been through, those things that have ended just recently, are not failures. They're a sign. So I pose a question to you. What are you going to plant new? I planted some new peach trees, but in my own life, every season I have to plant something new as well. And so this is the planting season as well for you. Think about, what do you want to plant in your life? What do you want to see grow in your next season? Because your next season is beginning now. So I want to thank you for staying till the end of this video. If you are new here, I want to welcome you again to my channel and welcome you to subscribe. I hope that you will subscribe. I hope that you will tune in once again. Hit that notification bell so that you get notified of my daily videos. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for being here. I also encourage you to check to see if that notification bell is turned on. YouTube has been doing some things and some changes and stuff like that. So make sure that you are still subscribed and you still have that notification bell turned on. If you would like to connect with me for a one-on-one session or any of my course offerings or mentorships, please go check out my description where you can find out information on how to do that. I would love to partner and work alongside you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I love you all, and I will catch you on our next message.